Picture on this.
I want to welcome everybody to the presentation on Camp Anderson by Ron Novak. My name is Terry Goyke, and I am signed in. Hopefully everybody signed in. We have refreshments. Please, get up and get them whenever you want. I don't think Ron will mind if you're perusing the food. You're eating while he's presenting. So we'd like to welcome the Boy Scouts from Stellwagen School, elementary school in Detroit, Troop 118. We have a lot of scouts from that troop. And then also the Romeo Boy Scout Troop 87. And they're going to start us off with the Honor Guard, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Boy Scout oath.
If everyone could please stand.
Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Halt. Post the colors. Please face the American flag. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Scout sign. Please recite the Scout oath.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to guide my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Please recite with me the Scout law.
The Scout is trustworthy,
Loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
2. Color guard dismissed. You may all be seated.
Thank you, Troop 87. If we could give them a Ray Township thank you for their presence here today. It's definitely appreciated. So before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, for those who have a cell phone, if you could make sure those devices are on the courtesy mode at this time. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Lost Boy Scout Camp of Ray Township presentation. My name is Ron Novak. I'll be your presenter this evening. I'd like to start by thanking Terry Goyke as well as the Ray Township Historical Society for their interest in my presentation as well as providing the venue this evening. I appreciate the contributions of former scouts as well as the members of this community. I could not have done this without the assistance of my dear and longtime friend Greg Smith, who is otherwise known in Facebook as Gymnasium, for those people who are on the 48224 website, or I should say Facebook page. His technical skills, the photography that he did during our winter trip out here, he scored even a tour for us at the Stellwagen Elementary School, which we'll be showing some pictures very shortly of. I just couldn't have done it without him. If it was led up to me to lead this presentation, we'd be meeting outside and I'd be doing everything through smoke signals. That's how behind the times I am. So, also I'd like to thank my loving wife and daughter, Chrissy and Grace Novak. They accompanied me in a lot of our expeditions out here. And I also like to thank my son Jack, who was also present, for his love and support. Jack was away at college and also serving in the Forest Service during my 6 or 7 years of coming out to the Boy Scout camp. So he always checked in with me and always asked how things were going. So my plans are to get through my presentation in about a half hour and leave the rest of the evening up to community discussion. So.
Ron, you gonna post this by chance?
Are we gonna post this, Jim? Where's Jim? Oh,
I'm sorry.
John asked, are we gonna post this, or this presentation? Is it available through
Yes,
the website?
yes, we will.
Okay.
We will.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Stellwagen Elementary School was built in 1927 on Detroit's Far East Side. In 1938, BSA Troop 118, based at Stellwagen, awarded the Eagle Scout rank to Scout Anderson. Eagle Scout Anderson was killed in action in the Philippines in the first few months of World War II. Anderson's parents acquired the property just 30 yards north of where we're at right now and donated it to Boy Scout of America Troop 118. This property was named Camp Anderson in honor of their fallen son, Eagle Scout Anderson. A.J. Kelmain was the Scoutmaster for Troop 118 for 49 years. Wow. A.J., as well as the Scout, was very well loved by the Scouts and parents alike. Many of the neighborhood boys who were in the troop stayed in the neighborhood, and their sons became Boy Scouts of 118. I personally know of one family that had 3 generations in this troop. I was a Scout in the early to mid 1970s, and in my day, there was a bunkhouse that could sleep 40. The bunk beds and other amenities were all World War II surplus. The kitchen and dining hall took up the south end of the structure. Boat storage was in the basement, and back in my time when I was a Scout, there were 2 rowboats and 3 canoes. A storage shed was just about 3 or 4 yards south of the bunkhouse. The property was complemented by 2 outhouses. One fringe benefit of being out here in the country, you could pee at will, as long as you were 15 paces away from the bunkhouse. There were 3 weekend camps per year, and we referred to those as overnights, and those were just strictly to go out and have some fun. But our 10-day camp started around mid-August through Labor Day, and that was truly a Boy Scout event. Scouts could earn nearly 40 merit badges and skill awards. The pine tree stand next to the senior center where we're at right now was our archery field. Model rockets could be launched from the baseball field. Fishing and canoeing was done in the river. However, the Walcott Mill was off limits, and back in my day it was abandoned and boarded up. Tents are pitched along the north side of the property. Scouts would cook their own breakfast with mess kits, and during our 10-day we would have a spooky night where we would go on a walk with our flashlights to the Lee Cemetery on Indian Trail. Back in our day, the cemetery was abandoned, and a lot of the headstones and everything were tipped over. And it's very nice to see that the citizens of Ray Township has redeveloped that cemetery and established it back into the grandeur it once had. Most Scouts would participate in a brutal hand-to-hand combat game called Pull 'em.
Yeah. Pull 'em over. Pull 'em over.
There were a lot of black eyes and broken noses and all those things, weren't there, guys?
Yeah.
Each Scout had to dedicate one entire day to KP duty, which consisted from starting at 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The cook, George Whiskey, was an Army cook. Whiskey, thank you. Was an Army cook and best known for screaming and throwing pans at you. Communication was via AJ, our Scoutmaster, being a 75mm shell casing with a pipe wrench.
The gong. The gong.
Absolutely right, guys. It was called the gong. And halfway through the camp, we would go into downtown Romeo to the laundromat, and there was a ice cream parlor right next door to that, so we could spend a nice evening there getting our clothes washed and having some ice cream. There were no showers at Camp Anderson. We would bathe ourselves in the river. Sunday mornings, Scouts would dress in full uniform and attend church. Catholics would go to St. Clement of Rome, and the Protestants would go to a Lutheran church in Romeo. I don't know, guys, where did you guys go for our Protestant
It's still there.
Scouts? But where would we?
They went to the Lutherans. They went to either one.
You're right, but I didn't know the name of the church where they went to. Do you guys know what that was?
It was just a Lutheran church.
All right, good. I wasn't asleep when we talked about that.
No, it
All
might have
right,
been
good.
Romeo Lutheran.
AJ would go to that
It
one,
might
we
have been
went to the other
Romeo
one.
Lutheran.
Yeah.
No, AJ went to the Catholic church.
Yeah, I know, I went to the other one.
Because Leonard just started a fire in his pocket.
And to sum all
AJ
this
couldn't
up,
smell it.
all this fun was only $50 back in our day. That included
40
everything.
That was a lot.
There was 40 first.
We should spend 10 at the
He was in the 70s.
It was in the 60s.
Sometime in the mid-70s, Camp Anderson was acquired by the Huron-Clinton Metro Park Authority.
We only had one out.
The bunkhouse, 2 outhouses, the shed were all demolished. The Boy Scout trails are still used by hikers today. The campus had completely gone back to nature. I could not even find the road that led from Walcott Road to the bunkhouse.
There's a house there.
Metal detecting operations. 7 years ago, my daughter Grace and I went on our first expedition to the camp property. It was a beautiful, warm, sunny day like it is this evening. I was able to find the tent area as it was in the area where there was the least amount of trees. We went to work in less than 15 minutes, found a folding knife, a Boy Scout neckerchief slide, and by the end of the day, we also found an old bike, tent stakes, a couple axe heads, flashlights, and tons of flashlight bulbs. Grace and I would go back every spring to see what else we could find. My wife Chrissy would join us as well, and we would turn it into a family tradition. Sometimes we'd find stuff, but in most occasions we ended up just picking up trash and bringing it to the trash barrel over by the field that's directly behind the senior center. Here's a kind of a overhead view of where Camp Anderson was. So if we were to follow this little polka dotted line along there, that was the camp property. This is where we are at right now. And right across from the parking area was the entrance to the camp right here. The road would meander kind of like this way, all the way to where the bunkhouse was, right about here. This area here where the parking lot is now
That was the
was an archery range for us. And right where this curve was pretty much where the trail led in from where the bunkhouse was, right about there.
Yeah, that's where I went in today. Figure out where I was.
Technical problems, Jim? It's the pointer. Oh, I got it going now. We're running out of gas with the pointer.
One to your right. There you go.
This way.
No, it's the pointer that's not working.
Oh, there it is. It's working now.
Just use your finger.
Operator error.
No, I want to get the, yeah.
There you go. Center, there you go. What was that?
Can you guys see that all right? I think we're
I can
losing
see
some
it.
power.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe he's losing a little bit of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a
Right into the front.
Yeah, we used to
Used to
run
train,
laps.
because used to train drivers.
Guys, right along here was where the tent area was. And then right in this vicinity was a pasture where, John McDaniel, are you here tonight, John? Thank you for coming. I kind of defer to John. John's family had this property here where the pasture was, where he had donkeys and ponies and a mule. And we'll go into more detail in a moment about that. So, but that's pretty much how the layout was at this time.
Watch out for that electric fence.
What about the trotters? Who trained the trotters up there?
On the other side of.
Oh, was it the other side?
Cause there was like a
We
track.
had a track on our side.
Dear friends, if we see right here, that was the entrance to the camp. Directly next to this was where the parking area is now for the Ray Township Center that we're at right here. And right here is Walcott Road. The two-track would go all the way to the back where the trailhead was, that it was going to the Boy Scout camp. But when they redeveloped this property and put in this parking area, they stopped it right about here, but actually it went back at least another 75 yards, and all this area was kind of starting to go back to nature.
We used to do surveying merit badge in that area too.
Yes, with Mr. Crane, absolutely.
Yep.
This is the trail, guys, leading from where the archery range was, going to the camp, and it kind of meandered around this way, like this.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
everybody
past
had
the
houses.
privy.
Yeah,
Walk right
and the
past
burn
all
pits,
houses. Yep.
And the garbage dump.
yeah.
Way back in there where these young trees are, that's where the Boy Scout camp was at one time, I should say the bunkhouse.
Yeah.
This is the vista from where the bunkhouse was. And if you look straight ahead, just like John had sent me an email, that river is totally changed than it was when we were here about 50 years ago. And just to the right of that big tree was the area where the boats would go into the water that were stored underneath the cabin.
Did they rip that stairway out?
Yes, there's nothing there to it. We discovered a Bigfoot hideout right in the north part of the camp. So there's my colleague, my dear friend Greg, and we did it just for scale, that Greg's about 6 foot tall, and the entrance could easily accommodate a 9-foot beast of some type, or potentially a Bigfoot. So
Sasquatch.
we sent that into the BFRO research organization for them to find out if they could really look into it and see if there was something going there.
I still have my heart.
This is the tent area. Myself and Greg went out this winter, so that's the picture that Greg had taken this winter. And over to the right, my wife had taken a picture of Grace and I. This was probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, in the spring when we came out here. Here's something that'd be interesting to my fellow scouts. One of the trees covered with scout graffiti. That was kind of down the trail that we're coming from the bunkhouse going towards the dam. That's where that particular tree was.
Hey Dave, was that the climbing tree?
No, that's the initial tree.
Yeah. 'Cause I got the canoe paddle and KP duty for putting my initials on it. Well, not when I was there.
Yeah, we can only
I
cover.
still remember that canoe paddle.
I don't know if everyone can see this from the back. AJ's initials are in that tree,
Oh,
and
jeez.
it's about 9 feet up from where we were at. That's how long ago AJ had graffitied that tree.
So he was the Sasquatch.
Really, he was a little, he was more like an elf. More like the Verner's gnome.
There's Grace and I doing some magnet fishing just off where the boat launch was. We didn't find anything.
Yeah.
Should have found a lot of lost.
Yeah, we used to
lures.
fish right there too.
This is a
Wow,
good
yeah.
picture.
That's crazy.
That back in the day when I was a scout here, as many of my colleagues here were, many of them are close to my age, if it was in the spring, the water would be going through that spillway as if we were in Colorado. It was that strong.
Yeah. Don't get the canoe stuck.
Oh my gosh. So it was a very dangerous place to be. And John, I had seen a posting that you put up talking about the dam with some pictures that were very similar to mine. And you had mentioned there were 2 piers at each end of that and you think that